So you want to buy an amusement park. Buy the land, build the rides, watch the families pour through the gates. That part makes sense. Here is the part that doesn't. The single most visited amusement park on Earth, a place that welcomed over 21 million people through its gates in a single year, needs its visitors to spend money on almost everything except the thing they came for before it turns a profit. And the companies that build the tallest, fastest, most technologically sophisticated roller coasters on the planet consistently post weaker operating margins than the hot dog cart sitting in their own parking lot. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how that's possible, how amusement parks actually make their money on the inside, why engineering the most thrilling ride experience in the world still isn't enough to guarantee a profit, and why an amusement park is not the business most people think it is. Amusement parks come in 3 sizes, and they are 3 completely different businesses. A small regional park costs between $5 and $15 million. For that money, you get a dozen flat rides, a go-kart track, a couple of kiddie coasters, and a parking lot full of families from the surrounding county who couldn't justify a 6-hour drive to Orlando. A mid-sized property, think Hershey Park or Six Flags Great America, runs you $100 to $500 million. Real roller coasters, real water parks, real seasonal revenue. Customers driving in from neighboring states who planned the trip 3 weeks in advance. And then there's the top tier, where the price tag stops making sense to ordinary human beings. A single themed land at a Disney or Universal property, not a park, just one section of one park, can cost $2 to $3 billion to build and open. Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios cost approximately $900 million for 14 acres of attraction. That is $64 million per acre of themed entertainment. But the land and the rides are just the beginning. 2 costs nobody warns you about. The first is inspection. Every commercial ride is subject to annual state inspections, ASTM International Safety Standards, and the manufacturer's own proprietary maintenance protocols simultaneously. Failing any one of those 3 doesn't just close a ride. In most states, it triggers a mandatory third-party safety audit of every other attraction on the entire property, shutting down revenue for days while engineers document things that were almost certainly fine. The second is liability insurance. Amusement parks carry some of the highest premiums of any consumer-facing industry in existence. A single serious ride injury, even one caused entirely by rider error, can produce an 8-figure civil settlement. Major parks with large coaster collections pay annual insurance premiums that would fund a mid-sized city's entire public works department. You are not buying a ride. You are buying everything that could go wrong on it. So where does the money actually come from? Every amusement park is built on one mechanism the industry understands perfectly and almost never discusses publicly. Call it the commitment engine. The moment a family of 4 decides to visit a park, they have already made a chain of decisions that systematically dismantles their price sensitivity for everything that follows. They booked the hotel, they took off work, they drove 2 hours on a Saturday morning. They told the kids. By the time they are standing at the funnel cake window at 11 in the morning, they're not rational consumers comparing prices. They're emotionally committed participants in an experience they cannot afford to let fail. And the park's entire revenue architecture is engineered around exactly that psychology. Here's the mechanism. Imagine you charge a customer $32 to enter a building and they spend 8 hours inside it. That's $4 an hour, cheaper than a movie, cheaper than bowling. Now imagine every drink inside costs $7, every sit-down meal costs $22, every ride photo is $31, and the child physically cannot exit without a $45 stuffed animal. The entry ticket was never the product. The entry ticket was the key that sealed them inside a premium retail environment where they have already decided, emotionally, irreversibly, that this is a great day and spending money is simply part of keeping it one. That's the commitment engine. Everything after the turnstile is the business. This is why if you look at any major park operator's earnings report, you'll find a number called in-park per capita spending tracked just as obsessively as headline attendance figures. Six Flags, across its properties, has historically celebrated per capita spending growth specifically because pure attendance is the less profitable metric. Getting 1 million people through the gate at $32 each produces $32 million in gate revenue. Getting those same 1 million people to spend an average of $68 inside on food, merchandise, and premium experiences produces $68 million in high-margin revenue stacked on top. The ride is the reason they came. It is not the reason the lights stay on. Now, the architecture. You've been inside a major park. Notice where every food stand is placed. It's never random. It sits at precisely the point where guests have just exited a major attraction and are still inside the adrenaline window, that 90-second post-ride period where emotional state peaks and spending resistance hits its lowest point of the entire day. The park entrance is intentionally designed so that arriving guests face merchandise before they face rides, and departing guests face merchandise one final time as they leave. Photo capture systems are installed at the single most cinematic moment of every major ride, not for your convenience, but because a digital photo package at $31 carries a margin of approximately $28, making it the highest margin product sold anywhere on the property. Every queue snakes past a retail display. Water is never free and never close to the entrance. The industry has a name for the entire physical environment. Call it the engineered spend path, a campus designed from the ground up so that doing the natural thing at every moment, eating when hungry, sitting when tired, buying when your child asks, all point in the same direction, your wallet. And then there's the most powerful customer retention system in the industry, the one that generates revenue whether the customer shows up or not, the season pass. A single family season pass at a major regional park runs between $190 and $380. One visit with a family of 4 at gate price and the pass has nearly paid for itself. That math is obvious to every family that buys one. Here's what the park operator knows that the family doesn't. The average season pass holder visits a regional park 2.1 times per year. Not 8, not 12, 2.1. They buy it in January promotion feeling financially clever about the value, visit once in June, plan to return all summer and let it auto-renew in November because canceling feels like admitting the summer was wasted. Meanwhile, every actual visit from a season pass holder generates full in-park food, merchandise, and experience spending on a guest who paid a fraction of gate price for entry. The park monetizes their guilt about not visiting more often just as readily as it monetizes the visits themselves. That's the whole game. So with all of this, the commitment engine, the engineered spend path, the season pass machine, why do major park operators post losses? Why did Six Flags file for bankruptcy in 2009? Why has Palace Entertainment restructured repeatedly? The short answer is everything outside the ride queue. 2 mistakes repeat across nearly every major amusement park failure in modern history. Mistake 1. Too much ride, not enough margin. In the mid-2010s, a regional park operator announced a $200 million investment in a new Gigacoaster, the 3rd tallest in North America, to drive attendance. Attendance grew 11% that season. In-park spending did not follow proportionally because the new guests were enthusiast riders, the demographic least likely to spend freely on food, merchandise, or upcharge experiences. They came for the coaster. They packed their lunch. The ride generated press and social media for 18 months. The debt service on its construction lasted 14 years. Mistake 2. Wrong season length for the debt structure. This single error has closed more parks than poor ride decisions ever will. A park in a northern climate can physically operate 120 to 150 days per year. If that park's construction debt was sized assuming 200 operating days, the annual figure a Florida or Texas park routinely achieves, it is arithmetically impossible to service, regardless of how many people show up during those 140 days. The rides don't change. The calendar doesn't move. The interest payment arrives every single month. Parks don't fail because the experience isn't good enough. They fail because someone borrowed against a summer that only ever existed in a spreadsheet. Step back for a second. The economics here are genuinely paradoxical. An amusement park is one of the few businesses in the world where the primary product, the thing that makes the brand, drives all the marketing, generates every social post, and fills every parking space, actively loses money per unit. A major roller coaster costs between $30 million and $500 million to design, engineer, and install. It requires millions annually in maintenance, inspection, and insurance, and it generates exactly $0 in direct revenue. Every single rider exits having paid nothing specifically for the experience of riding it. Without it, nobody walks through the gate. With it, nobody can afford to pay only for the gate. The coaster is the most expensive advertisement ever built for the funnel cake stand sitting next to it. The ride is the loss leader. The park is the store. Now pull it together. 2 scenarios, real numbers. Scenario 1, a $12 million regional park in a mid-size American market, 300,000 annual visitors. Average total per guest spending of $47. Total revenue, $14.1 million. After payroll for 300 seasonal employees, maintenance, insurance, utilities, and debt service, net profit of approximately $1.3 million per year. Payback just under 10 years. Recession sensitive, weather dependent, but nearly impossible to replicate locally, which makes it quietly durable in ways that more glamorous businesses are not. Scenario 2, a major themed destination, $1 billion in capital investment, 3 million annual visitors, average per guest spending of $115, total revenue $345 million. After payroll for 4,000 employees, insurance, licensing fees, attraction maintenance, and capital reserves, net profit of approximately $65 million in a strong year. Add a new IP licensed land that drives hotel packages, extend the operating season by 25 days, push per capita spending by $9 through a new premium experience tier, and that number moves in ways that justify every dollar of the construction cost. The math of scale in this industry is unforgiving on the way down and extraordinary on the way up. Bob Iger understood this when he greenlighted Galaxy's Edge at $900 million and watched it drive Disney parks to record revenue across the following fiscal year. The land cost a fortune. The lightsaber building experience inside it charged $219 per person. The Millennium Falcon ride was free. The droid customization workshop was not. The hotel package that put guests inside the attraction before the park opened to the public cost nearly $1,000 per night. None of it was incidental. It was the commitment engine, at $900 million scale, built for a guest who booked the flights 6 months in advance, told their children every week for 24 weeks, and had decided long before boarding the plane that no dollar amount inside that park was going to be the thing that made this trip feel like a failure. The ride was never the product. The ride was the reason they couldn't leave.